Hey guys, TSW here, and welcome to this video which I'm going to be talking about trinkets. I got a really nice message from a guy called Luna Love on the US realm Illidan, and he asked me about which trinkets I should be using for which encounters, and that's a really good question, so I thought I would do a video on it because I'm sure that it's a frequently asked question amongst tanks. So I thought I'd share my side of the story with you guys. So we need to learn a few things before we start thinking about trinkets, and that's combat table coverage and how to be avoidance cap. I have a really nifty macro here which I will paste down in the description, and you'll be able to use it in game. Basically what it says is you need 102.4 avoidance to be combat table coverage up. Basically it's avoidance cap, and at the moment I have 93.61, which means that I have a 93.61% chance to basically avoid damage, which is great, but it's very important that you know that it's not 102.4. Now 102.4 is the golden number, and once you reach that you are avoidance capped, which means that you will always you'll never take a full blow. Okay, it'll always be a dodge, block, parry or a miss, which is great. Because once you reach that, the amount of damage you take is so low. Like, it's really, you take, like say you're on 90% avoidance, you take, not too much damage. 100% you take hardly any damage, and 102.4 is the sweet spot where it's like, barely take any damage at all, and you really want to try and get that. And then experiment it with different bosses and different trinkets, and this is where the comment comes from. So here are my the 6 trinkets which I'm actively using, some more than others because some of them are really old, but anyway, and therefore low item level and not as good as others. But I'm going to go through kind of like a couple of rules to distinguish between which trinkets you should be using, but by all means start looking at HP and looking at which available trinkets you have, and make your own decision based on a couple of rules. The first being, are you tanking a lot of melee? Even more so when you're AoE tanking melee. You want to be going for your mastery when you are AoE tanking, because it increases your block, and that's your main avoidance when you are tanking multiple mobs. As you can see here, the highest percent figure is my block, so I'm most likely to block and attack, and having extra mastery further increases that, meaning that I'm taking so much less damage because like pretty much all the time I'm blocking, which is great. And it just gets even better when I'm AoE tanking. But any melee in general, going avoidance is awesome. And I'm talking about mastery a lot of the time. But yeah, to get avoidance cap, you can be using your dodge and your parry as well. Don't worry about that. However, you will get more. You'll get so much more block per rating than you do dodge and parry. Also, when you're gemming, make sure you go for your mastery as well, because it gives you more avoidance. Don't be like, oh, my dodge is low, let's start gemming for dodge. No, mastery is so much better, and blocks don't have diminishing returns, which is awesome. So trinkets. Also, if you're so we've talked about melee. So melee, go for your mastery, generally speaking, and then when your casters are attacking you, you want to be going for your stamina, because we can't really block any sort of spell casts, and a lot of spell casts are unavoidable, especially in boss encounters. So yeah, a lot of what we're investing in, mastery, is not very good for spellcasters. Therefore we want to be going for generally stamina trinkets, because when we're getting hit by a really hard spell, our HP drops, and the trade-off of getting very high avoidance is often the lack of HP, such as trinkets and gems. A lot of my gemming is for mastery and not HP, which is what it used to be in Wrath and TBC. And also the third rule is, if you're dying, go for your stamina, generally speaking. Make sure you are trying your best to be avoidance capped, because that is so good if you can get that. That is like, I'm tanking amazingly. Like, just make sure you understand that if you can get through an encounter being avoidance cap, your healers will be bowing at the knee and praising your name in trade chat, because you are taking so little damage. It's very important to realise that being avoidance cap for any encounter is so good. Even if it's an encounter where there is a lot of spell damage, if the mob is attacking you with a melee weapon pretty much any time in the encounter, go for your avoidance cap. And if you can survive the the really hard hitting abilities like big massive novas of spell damage or whatever it may be depending on the encounter, if you're surviving that as a avoidance capped tank, that's amazing. I've been complimented in the first run of an instance, or the raid, sorry, in this new guild I'm in, saying that I take such predictable, smooth damage, and that's really what you want to be going for. Damage which is very boring in essence. It makes the healer's job so much easier. They were saying that they were using a tank Death Knight before, and his HP was going left, right, oh my god, crazy, and they were having to, oh holy shit, he's dying, cooldowns, heal him up. That's how I perceive healing. And with a tank, more precisely a warrior in melee fights, because warriors are really good at melee tanking. But anyway, for any avoidance cap tank, your HP is so predictable. Instead of taking like a Death Knight, high amounts of damage, low amounts of damage, high amounts of damage, low amounts of damage, I'll be taking medium amounts of damage, medium amounts of damage, medium amounts of damage, and that's very, like I say, predictable, which means it makes the healer's job so much easier. It makes your job easier as well, because you're not dropping low, you're not having to use cooldowns, last stands, and health stones and things like that, which is great for everybody. It's win-win. So make sure that if you can get through an encounter being avoidance cap, you get through that encounter avoidance cap. Even if you're dying once, don't be like, I'm going standard trinkets. Don't be like that unless it's very, very obvious. But yeah, like I say, if you don't take anything else from this video, avoidance cap is so good. Okay, right, let's move on from that. So, individual encounters. Now, it depends a lot on if they do a lot of melee damage and how hard they hit as to what trinkets I use. Morchok, for instance, I was using my mastery trinkets. I was using this one from Valor and this one from Heroic Bethalak. Normal Bethalak's fine as well. These are my two mastery trinkets, are very good. I'm focusing more so on the actual passive abilities, the equip, use, mastery, not too much on the equip melee attacks which reduce you below 35% HP, blah 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 blah, and the dodge increase thing. I'm not really looking too much on those, however they are both fantastic extra utility for the trinkets, but I'm focusing mainly on the actual passive mastery we get from these trinkets, because that's what is active all the time. You don't want to fanny around with little extra things like, oh, this trinket's really cool at X time in the encounter. Yes, there will be certain scenarios where you'll want to have a particular trinket for a particular use at a particular point in time on that encounter, say at an enrage or a special ability, but generally speaking you'll be wanting to use passive abilities because they're active the entire encounter. Okay, so for Morchok, I'm using mastery trinkets because my gear's nice and I'm geared for that encounter nicely, and my HP is fine. Just a side tip, using your revenge before a stomp is pure gold. Absorbing that shit's awesome. But yeah, going for mastery trinkets is so good for a melee encounter such as Morchok. However, I know that he hits very hard, and especially if you're new to heroics or progressing on him, you will probably be taking a lot of damage, and you should be fine using your avoidance trinkets. But for whatever reason, if you have bad gear or you have fewer healers or whatever the case may be, you may need to go for stamina trinkets, in which case I would recommend this one. And where are we looking? Probably, yeah, these two, Soul Shifter's Vortex and Indomitable Pride. Just because these are obviously giving you a lot of HP because they are the trinkets from Dragon Soul. They obviously have the highest item level and the most HP. As you can see, my HP is pretty high. It's on unbuffed 213k, which is a pretty smart amount of HP. That's nice to have. Also, the mastery you get from this trinket is really good. If I remember correctly, every 60 seconds in the encounter, it'll give you like 20-25% block, which is insane. It's like a shield block amount of block you get from that. And it doesn't proc as soon as you start the encounter, start attacking mobs. It's as soon as you start attacking, you need to wait 60 seconds, and then you'll get the amazing amount of mastery, and then the next 60 seconds. So every 60th second, you'll get lots and lots of mastery, which is really good if you can guarantee that you're, first of all, tanking the boss, and even more so if you are potentially having to use cooldowns at that point, because you'll be taking so much less damage. Anyway, that Trinket's amazing, lots of HP and lots of mastery, and it's like unbelievably amazing when you can time that extra mastery at a opportune point. And then we have this second trinket, which is great because obviously the stamina, and then it's kind of cool, the equip, when you go low it shields you, which is nice. But every 60 seconds isn't that amazing, especially when it's 50% HP. It'd be kind of cool if it was like 35. But anyway, because that could actually like viably save your life more frequently, in my opinion. Anyway, they're the stamina trinkets I would be using, and yeah, they're good, but like I say, make sure you trying to, because obviously if you're still dying with this scenario, it would probably be the rest of your gear or healers, or you're doing something wrong in the encounter. But like you need to try so hard to get master trinkets. That's what I'm trying to say, and I'm realizing that this video is going on forever, so I'll try and speed up from now on. So second boss, we have Warlord Zonoz, and I would be using, let's try and think what trinkets I'd be using. I'd go for mastery trinkets. Yeah, mastery is what I go for on this boss. A lot of the time, so I'm boring. A lot of the time I'm going for mastery, but like I say, avoidance cap is so good. But like I'm saying, the general rule of thumb is if you can't survive the encounter, go for stamina. And yeah, these trinkets are fine. I stay alive, and I take so much less damage because I'm avoidance cap for Warlord. And then you have Your Sash, the Unsleeping, which is a tricky little encounter because you do take a lot of damage. And when we were progressing on this boss, I was using, I think I was I using one of each. Have a look. Let's use my macro to see what my avoidance is. At the moment, it is 97.44, which is cool. But I think when I was using this before, I was had more mastery, like my stamina gems were mastery gems, and so was I avoidance cap like this? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, yeah, I definitely experimented with different trinkets, and it turned out for me in the end using mastery trinkets was the best. This is an encounter where it was kind of like, I do drop very low when I use mastery trinkets, but in the end the avoidance came through, and yeah, mastery was better. But yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of like just treading water here, being like umming and ahhing a lot about different trinkets. But yeah, it's because there's no like direct answer. But yeah, it's cool nonetheless. Let's carry on to Hagra. This is an encounter where I would be going for my mastery if I'm tanking the boss. We use the tactic where you have a second tank standing to the side and you taunt off the focused assault. And basically, if I were the tank taunting, I'd be using stamina trinkets because it means that you're not going to die ever, even if you get no healing, pretty much, because you'll be full, and then taking extra damage, you have the health pool to sustain large amounts of damage. But generally speaking, yeah, go for your for your melee scenario, your mastery, and your avoidance cap for this encounter. Where else we're looking? Atraxion. I'm going for my mastery for this encounter. Really cool looking boss in there. Look at that. But yeah, again, mastery. Warhammer, Blackhorn. I'm going for my mastery because the adds hit very hard. They're obviously melee. Make sure you disarm the adds as well. You can disarm them. It's a nice bit of damage, especially when you're having to run into the swirls on the ground because they cleave. Disarm and then run into raid. They're not going to be cleaving. Top tip right there. So yeah, Warlord, go for your mastery. As you see, a lot of it's mastery because it is so good. Like as soon as you can start tanking encounters with your mastery trinkets, and again, spine, mastery, tanking dem adds, get that mastery, and then Madness of Deathwing. Now, when I first tanked this instance, I did it with mastery trinkets. However, when the Impale, even using cooldowns, I was going very, very low. And so it may have been preferable for me to use stamina trinkets. I was going like sub 5-10% on the Impales, even using cooldowns. And I think that's an occasion where stamina might be better, or more likely, calling out for raid cooldowns would have been better, like pre-CDs and whatever. But yeah, that's an encounter where I was thinking to myself, maybe I need some stamina. But like I say, it depends on your raid, your healers, several different factors. Don't be like, oh, I'm avoidance cap, I'm never going to change my trinkets, because that is not the case at all. It depends on your tanking role in the encounter, and I hope that instead of me saying what I personally use per encounter, I hope that you use the rules more so than whatever I use. Because whatever I use is, very much for me, whereas it may be different for you. Just remember, if it's melee, mastery. If it's AoE, mastery. Generally speaking, this is of course, and spellcasters, stamina. But yeah, like if you can get avoidance cap as well, it's so amazing, so much better than not being. But yeah, I've been TSW. This is something that I may want to do on maybe like a weekly basis. If you guys have any questions, or I'll look through my inbox and pick one out that I think is relevant. So if you have any sort of questions or feedback in general, or just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please thumbs up. I've been TSW, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.